Hello everyone, I'm Forrest McFreelaw, and this is Speedplay Horselords number 17. We left off with almost all of North India under our control. Our infernal columns are just devastating the countryside. As we move forward, we will hopefully be able to take over all that remains with relative ease. I don't really doubt it that significantly, and as you'll see, we already do have forces spread out essentially everywhere we need them to be. We'll fast forward a little bit. We have fully occupied this country. We'll make peace with them in just a moment. From there, it'll just be a bit more speeding up as our infernal columns successfully pillage until the very end all the remaining territories. We do go ahead. We speed up forward. We're now declaring war with this next state, the last state in northern India. Our armies just immediately march through and begin seizing over their territories. An interesting thing historically is that generally what used to happen as nomadic hordes would take over civilized societies is that with time, since they would really just form the top level aristocracy of these new areas, the tribes would just sort of blend into the culture of the people they took over. Now, for us, you'll notice the exact opposite is happening. Since we're turning all of the lands into pasture, all the people have been essentially turned to our culture and become nomads with us, which is an interesting reversal. We go ahead and speed through. You'll notice now that there are large sections of India without infernal columns on them, also some significant forces which we managed to just completely overrun. With that said and done, we begin to split our forces into the last major Indian state, well, the last major state that is independent other than our Cognite. It is now just a matter of a few brief years before our Coggan will be the sole ruler in the world, whose tents will be the largest and I guess just generally the fanciest. We will have the largest and fanciest tents, the only tents that rule the world. However, we are challenged to a duel, and since we are Germanic, we may as well accept. Really, how can we justify being the Coggan if we don't? However, unfortunately, we don't win. The Coggan is dead at the age of 37, long live his 33-year-old brother, the new Coggan. We go ahead and arrange the marriages. I'm actually quite shocked. I was thinking that Coggan would see us to the very end, and yet he was taken away in his youth. That being said, our new Coggan is, young and strong. He will rule through the last final states to be overrun and pillaged. At this rate, we have moved our forces in quite a ways through this last remaining major state, and we're just going to really speed through this, as ultimately their armies were destroyed in that brief encounter at the very beginning of the war. You'll notice there aren't any significant forces left whatsoever. Also, when I rearranged this Coggan's hair, you'll notice that we have a European-looking Coggan, which is very interesting, as there's no one with a European culture left, which just goes to show how accepting our Cogganite is. We go ahead and annex that major state. There are now only 3 states left in the whole world which could even begin to assert any claim of independence, and we're invading one of them already. We become a bit of an astrologer, educate our children, and continue to advance against the remaining independent states. Now, you'll notice that we are just continually spreading the infernal columns ever further. We managed to annex that third to last state, and this one now just broke into several small pieces, so we will have to do a series of wars. We go ahead and attack this nearly 6,000 man stack. We win, shockingly, even though we only had 2,000 cavalry on an island dropped off by boats. We then land a second stack, and now we have a full infernal column there. We also managed to go ahead and 1, get the Necronomicon, and 2, you'll notice we're now taking care of the few remaining temple complexes, which are the only buildings in the depths of our empire other than tents and pastures. Although pastures are obviously not buildings. At any rate, we continue moving our infernal columns to the very southern tip of India. We manage to lead an attack against a band of raiders and get maimed, although not killed, which is a great step up considering how our last Khagan dealt with any sort of physical task. Moving on, though, we have fully occupied the entire Indian subcontinent. Now it's off to Ceylon or Sri Lanka, however you want to call it. And, of course, continuing with the pillaging, or pasteurization, as I do like to call it. We do go ahead and just sort of continue. We begin to just seduce the people around us in an attempt to ensure that we have a strong succession in case anything were to happen. As, quite frankly, it would be incredibly bittersweet if we were to lose the Khaganate so very close to completing our task. Now, we would probably get it back. In fact, our Khagan does die at 42. His son, thankfully, has managed to get to 21, so he is actually going to be able to directly inherit. We do, of course, and we send 34,000 horse archers and other assorted horsemen to Ceylon, redeclaring the war, seizing the top half of the island, or top 3/5 of the island, declaring a second war, just breaking the truce, and marching the remaining 17,000 cavalry down. We split off another group, and just immediately go ahead. We will just assault the holdings as soon as these events stop popping up for a second. We siege the first, siege the second, and just continue sieging all the way through. And with this final act, we have brought the world to heel. There is now nothing in the world other than the Khaganate. And when we come back tomorrow, we will see the eternal pasture of the spotless world. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. We'll be back tomorrow.